Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bench. I am one half of the team from InLacrosseWeTrust.com, Rocco Granado. With me, as usual, from up in a blustery cold Toronto, Canada, from LaxPhilly.com is Gary Groove. Gary, how you doing tonight? Hopefully staying warm.
Yeah, moving around a lot because it is rather chilly. You don't want to stand in one spot too long because they might actually, put a coat on you or something like that, or a hat, make it look like you were part of the furniture. But I'm doing well after that. I'm just looking forward to some games this weekend. We'll definitely be getting warm, jumping up and down in ACC.
Yep. We had Christmas has come and gone. Hopefully, everybody got what they wanted. Boxing Day was on Tuesday, and we have the new year getting ready to start in just a couple days. Now, the song I chose for tonight, "Kickstart My Heart," is it's kind of typical for the topic tonight. Yeah, we're going to go through real quick the games from last week because we did that in our recap on Sunday. But the "Kickstart My Heart" is mainly for the Georgia Swarm this week. 0-2, and they have to face the Rochester Nighthawks. So they have their work cut out for them. So they need a little kickstart. But last week, Gary, we went through them all. Rochester put a thrashing on the Buffalo. We basically had football scores last week. Rochester comes up 21-11 in their game. You had what was it? Where's it at here? Saskatchewan just embarrassed New England 24-11. Colorado and Georgia seemed to be the only game that was close, and that was 14-11.
Down the wire. That was the only game that had you guessing until 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
But the other two games, they were over before the anthems were over.
Yeah, and it was bad. I mean, it just and you look at the stats.
These are old middle scores. These are middle league scores.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not that bad though, because that's what a lot of fans want. They want to see the scoring. But when you see one team getting blown out by 13, 14 goals, you got to sit there and wonder, is this league getting to the point where, there's only 2 or 3 top teams? When you start seeing, games.
Out of 9 games that have been played, 6 of them have been blowouts.
Right.
I don't know if that's a trend that I really want to see this year. Because that doesn't make for much interest in watching past the first quarter.
No. And then next year you got, two new teams, we'll say, coming into the league, and you don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to water down any talent, because there's an awful lot of talent that should be in the league.
That isn't.
But eventually, when we start adding more and more teams, eventually that's going to go down, and you are going to get these scores.
Right.
Then you're going to get 2-tiered kind of system. But I'm hoping that somewhere along the line, things straighten themselves out, especially when you only have 9 teams.
Yeah, and hopefully it won't get to the point where it starts looking like a watered-down league. And I think that's what the commissioner wants to make sure does not happen, that the league gets watered down. Yes, there is the talent out there, but is the talent that strong for to play in the league? That's what you have to worry about. I mean, you look at Cole Schaefer, okay, picked, I believe, in the first round by the Calgary Roughnecks. He didn't make their squad, and then a week later, he was cut by the Vancouver Stealth. So right now he's a player out there looking for a job. So I don't know if if he got drafted in the ALL, if he put his name in that hat, or if he's just going to say, hey, you know what? Let me just do some more training this for next year's combine, and maybe I'll get free agent invite somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure Matt Rambo's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And a few other guys.
Oh, could you? I mean, me and Kevin Nybauer were talking about this. We're messaging each other up and back. Could you see Matt Rambo on the new Philadelphia Wings team?
Sure, I could.
Local kid from Glenside, maybe Dylan Malloy. You're talking American field players, and you don't want to see that happening again because we all saw what happened there before in Philadelphia.
Yeah, but I think this time, I don't think it should be 100% American field guys, but I think this time around the program's a little more rounded.
Yeah.
These guys are entirely new to the box game, whereas before, these guys really had a tough time assimilating to the closed confines of a hockey rink as opposed to all of that of a soccer field. So this time around, I don't think that's as much of an issue. But that being said, I wouldn't make my team an entire field team.
No.
I think that would be crazy.
No, but if you can get somebody like a Matt Rambo, that's raw talent right there.
Sure, of course.
You have him on there. Maybe Malloy, who graduated from Brown University. I mean, that's two guys right there. Even heck, you can even go Colin Heacock. If you want. Because he played alongside of Rambo at Maryland. So who knows? But you have those players out there right now that could get a free agent look. That's something. 8 months down the line, right now.
Yeah, but every week is another week to start talking about it a little bit more.
Yeah, and the closer it gets, the more antsy Philadelphia fans are getting. I'm pretty sure San Diego fans are probably getting the same way. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens. Especially whenever they decide to come down with the rules as far as how many players can be protected. When that happens, that's when the guessing game really starts, where everybody plays GM and says, oh, let's protect this guy and not this guy. Now, the big news that came out of last week, we talked about this, Gary, when it happened in the game. David DeRuscio came in for Alex Bouquet partway through the game, and 31 seconds in, he got beat on a goal, but his right leg stretched out farther than I think he wanted it to. They didn't disclose the injury, but it looks like it's possibly pulled a groin, or he could have hyperextended the knee when he stretched it out, or maybe rolled his ankle. But reports are that he's out 2 to 4 weeks. And in the meantime, Buffalo, for 1 year, signed former Swarm goaltender Zach Higgins.
Who's on his tour of the league again.
Yes.
He's on team 4 or 5 now. And we'll see if he can make all 9 before the year's out.
Yeah, and you know what? He's not that bad of a goalie. I just think he's...
Honestly, I saw him last year in the Toronto Rock camp, and I really thought he had a shot at making a team, and I didn't understand how Steve Fryer made the practice squad ahead of him.
Right. That's,
I thought he had a really good camp.
Right.
And all of a sudden he's looking for work again, and before you knew it, he's on the Heat. But I don't know. I wish him all the best in Buffalo. Hopefully, he has something there.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched him playing with the Swarm when they were in Minnesota, they were alternating between, it was him and McDonald and who else was in that junk, that pile.
There was a revolving door, pardon the pun.
Yeah. I mean, and he looks like he's the type of goaltender that if you give him enough, if you give him playing time, I don't want to say enough time because it sounds like, oh, well, let's give him 16 games and see how he does. No, if he gets the time in net, I'm sure he can be a good goaltender. It's just a matter of catching on with a franchise right now. I mean, when I watched him play, I thought he had something. So hopefully, maybe he catches on there in Buffalo.
Yeah. I say even had a little stint there Calgary-wise, and that didn't go so well. I was 0 for 1.
Yeah.
And even then, he only gave up 5 goals. But he took the loss, and that was the end of him there.
Yeah, so, I mean, who knows? Maybe this could be, if he gets any kind of playing time, this could be his audition tape for the San Diego Seals and or the Philadelphia Wings to say, hey, bring me in as a free agent.
Yeah, like I say, he's a decent goalie.
Yeah.
Good size to him. He can move. He's not just a stationary goalie. He uses his size well. I think he'll fit in very well with Buffalo.
And
then let's see what happens with Drusho, and let's see if he stays on in the practice squad or whatever happens there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they carry 3 goaltenders. I don't think they'll carry 3 goaltenders on their active roster.
I can't see them doing that. I'm still surprised that we have Georgia doing that.
Yeah.
But for the time being, at least for the next 2 to 4 weeks, this should be a pretty good audition, especially if Bouquet gets bombed again.
Yeah, and
it has all the makings of that could happen very well on Saturday.
Yeah, because they're playing in Toronto, so.
Yeah, it's over here in the tundra, and to Buffalo to be an upgrade because there'll be less snow here.
Less snow, yeah.
But still, Toronto's had a bye week. They made the trade to get rid of Stephon LeBlanc, and now they have a bona fide transition player again in Sheldon Burns.
Yep.
And I have a feeling that we're going to see a revamped transition game, the same thing that started out last year that they seem to get away from. But when they had the transition game working last year, they had everybody on their heels, kind of like a Saskatchewan in a minor sense, because they wouldn't do it 100% of the time.
Right.
But if they can get back to that idea between Brody Merrill, David Edwards, Sheldon Burns, they might be able to turn things upfield pretty quickly and catch defensive teams, especially a team like Buffalo, which, with the exception of Priolo, has a pretty green roster going out there, especially defensively. And then they might be able to find things where Bouquet, or Higgins for that matter, are left exposed and shooting lanes. So we'll see. I'm sure that Matt Sawyer, as well as Blaine Manning, have been working on some form of strategy how to exploit this.
Yeah.
Over the last week and a half.
Yeah, and to get back at for that opener that Buffalo ended up turning the tables on Toronto, and this is a big game for Toronto. I mean, we're talking about Georgia. How they're 0-2 and they have 2 huge games coming up. On their schedule. But the Toronto Rock are 0-2, and both you and I stated that we think Toronto will would win the East. Right now, we're sitting here with mud or whatever else you want to say on our faces because.
Well, Toronto plays Buffalo this weekend, and then the following weekend they're in Vancouver. So before you know it, they could be 2-2.
Yeah, they very easily could be 2-2. They have an easier route to be 2-2 than the Georgia Swarm do.
And then they have the litmus test again on the 12th, and they play. Well, Rochester comes to town.
Right. So.
Well, then they get the test to see if they've had a chance to gel over the last 3 weeks.
Right.
I just think a big problem with Toronto right now is they haven't gelled. They're still, and when they get behind, everybody wants to do it themselves, so all of a sudden that idea of team goes out the window. So they have to remember that there's 4 other guys on the floor with them that they need to work as a team. And the thing that made them successful years ago was the crisp, quick passing back and forth to get lanes open. To try and do it themselves from 37 miles away and hope for a bounce that goes in is insane. And if they don't want to pay the price and go inside, that's nuts too. So they have to have a couple of little things. And, the last couple of years I've gone hoarse screaming about them not going inside. So they need to find, this could be a perfect game to start working on
Yeah, it's something that really needs to be done because like you said, the games this week. Friday night you got Vancouver at New England. Then you have Colorado at Calgary. So you got two good games there. And then Saturday you have Buffalo. Buffalo's at Toronto and Rochester's at Georgia. So we do have a couple couple games that could get out of hand.
Yep. Well, let's just hope that Rochester doesn't get sidetracked by all those screaming Georgia Swarm fans.
Yeah. Let's see.
I hear they're allowing the janitorial staff to bring their families.
Well, yeah, Georgia hasn't had a home game yet. This will be their home opener.
Right.
So they'll be raising their banner. So we'll get to see how many people they say are in the stands.
Well, I'm hoping that the same, because they're starting. They learned from the playoffs of putting some entertainment and selling the entertainment factor, put some butts in the seats. I'm hoping that because they're doing that again, they actually have some butts in the seats because it'd be a shame to watch them raise a championship banner to nobody.
To nobody, yeah. Because right now, when you look at the attendance numbers,
I know they tried hard in the off season. They were calling and doing it because they even called me to see if I was interested in tickets. Not that exactly that I could make it to most home games.
Right.
It is a little bit away.
Yeah, just a tad bit.
I'd have to drive for 24 hours to get there, but I found it amusing. But at least they're making an effort.
Making an effort, yeah.
Any name they've seen on any list they're calling. So.
Yeah, because if you look at the attendance numbers right now, you got Saskatchewan. All the teams have played one home game so far, except for Rochester, who has two, and Georgia, who hasn't opened their home schedule yet. Saskatchewan's just over 14,000. Colorado's at 13. Buffalo's at 11,500. Then you got Calgary at 9,700. Toronto at 86. The surprise here is Rochester. Okay, in two home games, they're only averaging 5,934 fans. That's a really big surprise to me. New England had 5,489 in their home opener. Not too bad. Seeing the casino seats 7,700. Vancouver had 3,201.
Which is about average for Vancouver.
Right, because that holds 5,500. And, that's it.
3,500 in Langley, the city of Langley picks up all the fees.
Right. And
that's their partnership, so it works in their favor.
Yeah, and the average right now for the first 9 home games, 86.52. So you're getting about 8,600 fans, close to 8,700 up to these games. I'd like to see that number at 10,000, in all honesty. Whether or not it gets there, who knows? But we need to see that get a lot higher than what it is right now. The standings, self-explanatory. Right now, Rochester and Saskatchewan are kind of running away with things.
Colorado's 2-0 also.
Yeah, 2-0. They've scored 29 goals, let up 19. So they're right there with them.
Saskatchewan's off the charts with 42, 41 goals.
41 goals, and they allow 20. And Rochester scored 38, only letting up 17. So it's you got a lot of scoring going on right now, and Mark Matthews is right up there at the top of the league, and Sean Evans, Dan Dawson right there in third, 15 points. So there's a lot of those teams represented in the points race. Nobody up there for Buffalo. They're having problems putting the ball in the net right now.
So is Toronto. They only have 18 goals in 2 games?
Toronto, 18 goals, yeah. 18 goals for, 30 against, and 42 penalty minutes. They lead the league.
Well, the game I'm circling on my calendar, even though I'm going to be 9,000 miles away from it, is on February the 17th when Saskatchewan visits Rochester.
Oh.
You know, you look at the season head-to-head, and it's 148 to 143 shots on goal in favor of the Rush. We talked about 41 to 38 in goals. It's 168 loose balls for Saskatchewan, 144 loose balls for Rochester. Face-offs, 32 of 69 for Saskatchewan, 39 of 63 for Rochester. And the percentage, the face-off percentage, 46.38 for Saskatchewan, and a whopping 61.9% for Rochester. Enter Jake Withers.
Yeah.
So, the numbers here are pretty even. Like, this matchup is something to watch. You know, we knew Rochester was going to rebuild, and we knew they had a couple of pieces and a really good defense. But this draft has turned out to be an exemplary draft for them. And Matt Vince, again, playing like he's 25 years old, hasn't hurt. So, if there's a, you know, here we go again, right?
Yeah.
The two most dominant teams of pretty much the decade. And here we go again.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, that's on February 17th, and it's in Rochester. I may have to go to that game.
Normally, I would say, yeah, I'm gonna make my way over there, but that's a long flight.
Yeah, I may just have to do that. I don't know. It's very, very, very tempting. And
Toronto's playing Georgia that night too, so.
Yeah, my daughter, she may want to go to that game because of a couple guys on Saskatchewan that played for Drexel University. So, but yeah, that. You know, if it holds up, you know, the way the team.
It's a month and a half away, so who knows? Things might even out around here or whatever. Things might get figured out, but still, that's something to keep in mind as a point of interest.
Yeah, and if you look at the goalie stats, the top three: Matt Vince, Dylan Ward, Evan Kirk, 8.5 to a 10.0. There's a log jam right there. Brody McDonald played just over 69 minutes. He's at a 10.43. Brandon Miller played almost 40 minutes. He's just over at a 12.03. And then Christian Del Bianco's at a 12.2, only playing half the time. Mike Poulin and Alex Bouquet. This is where it shows. They both almost play the same amount of time. Mike Poulin is at a 13.0 goals against and a 75% save percentage. And Alex Bouquet is at a 14.56 and a 74% saves. So, I mean, that's where things are struggling there. Then, you go almost near the bottom of the list where you find Nick Rose at a 14.99, and Aaron Bold, which is shocking here, 15.87. So, you start to ask yourself about Aaron Bold.
Well, he did get shelled.
Yes.
Absolutely shelled.
Oh yeah. He got shelled, and you wonder, is Aaron Bold truly a good goaltender, similar to, like, we'll say, Matt Vince, or is he a product of the defense in front of him?
Well, I don't know. The New England goaltending has been pretty rough anyways, because Doug Jameson's sitting at a 23.56 also, right? That just was a horrible game.
Yeah.
So you take that game out, and, it was average before that. In fact, it was pretty good.
Right,
and then let's see what happens.
right. But what I'm saying is, look, we know what Saskatchewan's defense is like. Okay, when Aaron Bold,
Saying at the trade,
when Aaron Bold was
this is going to make Aaron Bold look like the Aaron Bold from Rochester.
right, when Bold was between the pipes of Saskatchewan, his numbers were a lot lower. Now you've got Evan Kirk there, and Evan Kirk's numbers are almost below 10. They're right at 10.
Yep.
That's why I'm saying you wonder if he's a product of the defense or,
See, I saw Evan Kirk live, and he was playing well. Let's not take anything away from him.
Oh, no.
He also doesn't have to deal with second and third opportunities because the defense is in there with loose balls. The defense is in there keeping these shots from the outside. So where he's getting these shots from is a big deal, as opposed to what Nick Rose had to go through, where everything was on top of him and the shooting lanes were open. So, it's a whole different thing. And going against Saskatchewan, which in my estimation is heads above the rest of the league defensively, with Rochester coming in not too distant a second, but I still think Saskatchewan's is far and above everything else in the league.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And has been for a number of years.
And then,
having that defense in front of you can't hurt you.
No, that's what's helped them win, 2 titles in a row. Is that,
and almost the third one.
Is that defense? I mean, good defense makes for a great offense. That's what they always, they preach. They go ahead and preach that, and that's what they have. But we'll have to see what happens come February when those two teams, hook up. But you see these names on here. Ty Bellinger, he's at the 21. Aaron Bold, 15. Frank Siciliano, he's at almost a 15.5. You're hoping that these goaltenders, those numbers decrease as the as the season goes on. But right now the top 3, Dylan Ward, I expected him to be up there. No ifs, ands, or buts there. But Matt Vince.
I know only 5 of those goalies on that list actually have played both games.
Right.
Entirely. Everybody else has been pulled or put in. And Alex Bouquet, he would have been pulled if Derucho didn't get hurt. So, it says 119.29.
Yeah.
It would have been substantially less if Derucho didn't get hurt. So, so the numbers are a little bit skewed because these guys have had a bad game. And when you only play 34 minutes and give up 14 goals, that's going to inflate your goals against average.
Just a tad bit.
Yeah. So there's the Aaron Bold question, right? A bad game. Let's see what this. I would rather look at these averages after 5 or 6 games.
5 or 6 games.
And I think we get a better gist of it. Whereas that one bad game will get more evened out, smoothed out, and averaged out, as opposed to after 2 games where it's mammoth. Pardon the pun.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this week's game, and Aaron Bold has the chance to right the ship, so to speak. You got Vancouver coming in to the Mohegan Sun to face off against the New England Black Wolves. Now, I know this has nothing really to do with the game, but when I saw this game being played this early, first thing that popped into my head was revenge. And we talked about this last week. Vancouver got into the playoffs and off a win over New England in overtime, last game of the regular season. And they also played the spoiler because by winning that game, they prevented New England from hosting a home game in round 1. So now they're coming back to the Mohegan Sun again, and if a player in New England tells you, "Oh, I'm not thinking about that," I think they're lying.
Well, yeah, but also New England just got their doors blown off, and I think that they're going to come out with a mission.
Yeah.
To show that was just a fluke.
A fluke, right? So they got that, and also, a little a little more of the bait
have
of.
in my opinion, a whole lot more offensive prowess
Yep.
than Vancouver does, because even the prowess that they do have has been wishy-washy at best.
Yeah, and if it,
you know that Sean Evans is due. He's due for a big game.
yeah,
Kevin Crowley is due to be a recipient of a Sean Evans big game.
yeah. I mean, Sean Evans right now has 5 goals, 11 assists in 2 games. He's averaging 8 points already. But
But
yeah,
as we all know, that's not a big Sean Evans game.
no.
You know, and Kevin Crowley having 7 goals, so I could see him having,
7 in the game.
yeah, much. Yeah, if things worked out that way, yeah.
Yeah, and also,
Having Stephane LeBlanc on there now, how little is that going to help?
yeah, that.
That's going to be a big thing from the left side.
And I was just going to say that this could be a game where LeBlanc makes his presence known. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, they're playing Vancouver, but this could be like a little confidence booster for him.
Sure, if you could ignite this juggernaut, bang, look out. The rest of the season is the sky's the limit.
Yeah, so who knows? I mean, then again, Vancouver could turn around and throw a wrench into the whole thing.
Sure, but I think the other point is you have Aaron Bull, who wants to redeem himself after being obviously a little bit feeling a little awkward going back to Saskatchewan. The reception he got was great and not so great all at the same time, and having to play there. And now he's put that one behind him, and now he can move on.
Right, and the thing is,
Aaron Bull's a professional. He's going to, I guarantee you, he's going to come out there, guns a-blazing, looking to redeem.
now, do you think they start Ty Bellinger?
There's a big question, because I would think that I would start Brodie McDonald myself. I know that Ty Bellinger is the number 1 goalie.
But he's only played, we'll round it off, 51 minutes. And he's averaging 21.2 goals against and a 62.5 save percentage. With Brodie, he's at 69 minutes, a 10.43 and a 76.5 goals against.
Like I say, I would start Brodie McDonald myself.
Yeah.
But Vancouver's done a lot of things over the last number of years that made me scratch my head.
Yeah, and this is a team that has only won 9 games on the road since they moved to Vancouver.
Yeah, like I say, I would do something that would ignite the team, and I think you would start with putting Brodie McDonald in net. Remember, nobody thought that T. Rich would be replaced, and when they put Ty Bellinger in there and had him take the job, all of a sudden, he's the number 1 goalie.
Number 1, right.
And T. Rich isn't even in the league anymore.
No. Well, he had concussion problems too.
Concussion problems aside, still.
Yeah.
That was the end. And like I say, the same thing had happened now, a year later, and Brodie McDonald, the door's open. I would have him in that.
Yeah.
And just see. And if he has a good game, I would ride with him.
Yeah, you're right. You go ahead and ride with the hot hand.
Well, at 0-2, a couple more losses, and you really have yourselves a lot of work to do for the rest of the year.
Yeah, but you know what? 0-2 in the West for the past few years.
That's true. But I don't think that you have a team like Calgary that's going to be losing as many games.
No.
Try and figure out a way to make it to 4th.
Yeah, and you would hate to see.
They're going the other direction now.
Yeah, and you would hate to see something where, the 4th team in that division, we'll just say Vancouver, be eliminated, we'll say 8 games into the season.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically, Yeah, you really hate to see that. But yeah, I agree with you there. I would start Brodie McDonald over Ty Bellinger, and just see what happens. Obviously Aaron Bull is going to start for New England. You're going to be looking at Sean Evans, Kevin Crowley. The help on the left side comes from Stephane LeBlanc. Kyle Buchanan was placed back on the active roster. You have Kevin Buchanan, you got a lot of firepower out there for the Black Wolves. They're going to have the support of their fans there, obviously, and Kevin Crowley put a tweet out about how he hates to leave home, because obviously he went back home to New Westminster over the holidays. He goes, but it's time for redemption. So no doubt that this has been on his mind during the holiday season. He wants to get back on the floor and help the team redeem itself, and they'll get to do that hopefully on Friday night when they host Vancouver Stealth. Now, the other game we have on Friday night should be, I guess you could say, a barn burner here, Gary.
Yeah, I think so. Colorado-Calgary is one that I would pay money to watch.
That's a classic game there.
I think so. It's strength versus strength. You got two really, really good offenses that both have seemed to find their niche. And you have the goalie of the year last year against a committee of decent goaltending. I'm thinking where Colorado has the advantage here is defense transition. I think they're that much better and have used it to win the two games that they've won to their best effect.
Yeah, I would like to say this game's going to be close. I mean, Curtis Dixon started getting back on pace where he should. So is Dane Dobby. Westberg is slowly getting into it after he signed his contract and came into play. But I don't know, with Dylan Ward in net right now, sporting a 9.5 goals against. They got Ryan Benesh out there.
Yeah, 14 points already, so.
And you got Jeremy Noble with 10. They're the two that are up there for the Colorado Mammoth.
But you also have Zach Greer, who's back.
Yeah, Greer's back. I'm just going by what's up here for the scoring leaders, but obviously it's only 2 games in. Zach Greer's only played 1 so far.
Yeah, you have Jacob Bruce. You have a whole bunch of guys who can move.
Yeah.
Let alone Joey Capito.
Yeah, I was just going to say him.
And our little gazelle.
Yeah.
Can change the game around in the span of 3 seconds.
Yeah, and it looks like I should say that Calgary may have found, the goaltending.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see which Calgary team shows up. I've watched 2 different ones in 2 different weeks.
Yeah, which Calgary team and which Calgary goaltender shows up.
Yep, that's that too. But I say even the offense, 1 week they were ice cold, 1 week they were red hot. So I'm curious to see. And I say Colorado is a decent matchup for them, and I think this is going to be honestly, this is going to be the battle for second throughout the year. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it'll be a hell of a game to watch, and if you have an opportunity to watch it and don't, you're foolish.
Yeah, I think it's going to. This game, it's going to come down to the wire. It's not going to be. A runaway, I'll say. I think it's going to be a nail biter unless for some reason, something happens.
Calgary has a habit of shooting themselves in the foot. Whenever they get things moving, they seem to get stupid penalties, lose their composure, and it affects it. And boom! All of a sudden, you give the opposition an opportunity to run away with things or change the course of things. So if they can keep their tempers in check, if they can just stay focused on the task at hand, it's a coin toss.
Right.
If they don't, Colorado walks with this thing.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. If Calgary gets away from their game, stupid penalties, Yeah, I guess you used to say, Colorado, in a walk. But I think this is going to be about a 2-goal game. It's going to come down to the end. I really do. I really think it's going to come down to the end. I think an empty net goal is just going to, seal the deal. But I'm looking at Colorado in this game.
Yeah, I am as well. I like Colorado in this game also.
Now, the third game of the week, we go to Saturday. And that's the Buffalo Bandits try to dig themselves out of the snow and come into lesser snow.
Yeah, and much more cold.
into the ACC against the 0-2 Toronto Rock, a team that they beat in the season opener. Definite early revenge factor. A definite must win, not just because Toronto is 0-2, but I don't know how many times they're playing Buffalo. I want to say 4, because that's what they've normally been playing them. But you don't want to lose 2 of the 4, games against the team in your own division already. You don't want to go down 2-0 in that. Where you have to hope to at least, win the last 2 and maybe get the tiebreaker on goal differential.
No, I agree, but I have a feeling that Toronto just rights the ship this week. I just, for some reason, with the bye week and with the management that is there, I just have a feeling that Buffalo had everything working for them in that first game. Nothing to take away from them. They look good. Josh Byrne, he looked great as a number 1 draft pick. He's coming off a slight injury this time around. Goaltending is a question right now because defense is a question for Buffalo. Whereas if Rose can't do it, I'm sure Miller can. There's no doubts in my mind about that. Transitionally, Toronto got a lot stronger. Offensively, yes, they're going to miss Stephane LeBlanc, but there's enough there that I don't think that they're hurting. So I just think Toronto rights the ship this week.
The one thing that they have to be careful of, because if you look at the numbers, and I hate to do this half the time, but Toronto has scored 18 goals, let up 30. Buffalo has scored 24 and let up 30. But the number that sticks out here to me is the penalty minutes. Toronto's got 42 penalty minutes to Buffalo's 28. That's 14 more penalty minutes. They have to
take away the Ostrauser fight against Messenger, and it's even.
Right, yeah, but they still have to stay out of the box.
2-5 in a game for that one, so.
Yeah, he's got a whopping 17 minutes in penalties.
Yeah. So you take that away, and it's an even slate on that one.
Even slate, yeah. They just got.
That was just a frustration thing because at that stage the game was a walk. So you look at it. You're going to see transition. You're going to see Sorensen. You're going to see Sheldon Burns. You're going to see Rody Merrill, as well as having other little gazelles floating around there, right? Like the Damon Edwards. You have
Latrell Harris.
It's got we haven't heard much from Latrell Harris yet either.
No, and I think Saturday night you do.
Right, and Tom Schreiber, he's been pretty average, and I think he steps out of it too. Adam Jones, he's been decent but not great. Brad Hickey, he's had a couple of decent games again, not great. Mm-hmm. Rob Hellier's just getting back into the swing of things. So now this is game 3 under his belt, so I'm pretty sure he's relaxed at things now.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of firepower, a lot more than what the stats are showing.
Right. Now, I got a question. Do you think Mark Steenhouse is a little bit gun-shy right now?
Very possible.
After being literally blown up twice by Graham Hossack last week.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Nice, beautiful, open field hits.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to be like glancing down the floor and glancing up constantly?
Nah. Stenos has been there forever.
Yeah.
It's not the first rodeo. It's not the first time he's been rocked.
Right, and it certainly won't be the last, but you got to
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is his age.
Yeah.
I think he's slowed down 2 steps from what he has been in the past. He's still got great hands, still got a good shot, but we're almost putting him in the end part like Tavares, which is as long as you can take the shooting lane away from him, that's it.
Right.
Because he's not going to be able to move to get himself open and available. He'll sooner pass it off. And that's not usually in his repertoire, so that becomes a bit of a problem.
Yeah, and I just wonder, like, maybe if some of the Toronto guys may have seen that, and maybe somebody that has some speed and a little youth, like a Latrell Harris, he gets the chance to lower the boom on him.
Very possible.
You know, kind of get him...
Well, Latrell's a big kid, too.
Right, kind of get him thinking again, you know what I mean? Because he got rocked twice by Hossack.
Well, you know, his cousin is Tyson Bell, so maybe he's taking a few lessons there, too.
You think?
Anything's possible.
I mean,
but as for Buffalo, you know, really, you know, it's an average lineup.
Yeah.
It actually did very well in week 1. Week 2 was more of a showing than what I expect. You know, yeah, you've got the Kalen Crawford and Dane Smith connection, but after that, really, what do you have?
Right.
You know, yes, you have Pat Saunders. Yeah, Mark Steenhouse, of course. Craig England?
No.
Gordon Durston? Possibly. Mitch Jones? I think he's playing above his head, tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And then Josh Byrne, like I say, he's coming off a wee bit of an injury, but, you know, he should be, you know, good to go come Saturday. But, you know, he's still green, comes to the league.
Yeah.
So, you know, Chase Fraser also, you know, he's going to be great. But I don't think that this is the time that it's going to happen.
No. And then, yeah, you got to, you know, you're going to have to go with Bouquet in net. You know, I don't think they want to throw, you know, Higgins right in.
Oh, no, they're not going to start with Higgins. They'll use Higgins if they need to.
Right. And I think it's only in really dire need. But now, on the Toronto end, who do you go with? Do you go with Rosie, or do you go with Miller?
Me personally, I would try Miller this week.
Yeah.
However, I know that Sawyer is, you know, he's loyal to a fault. He has said that Rose is his number 1 goalie, and I'm sure that he's going to start with Rose. How long he goes with Rose, that's another story altogether.
Right.
But, you know, I would love to see Miller start the game, just to give him a different look.
Yeah, I mean, because Brandon's played half the time that Miller has.
What I've noticed is that the defense doesn't play so close to home when Brandon is in net as opposed to when Nick is in net.
Right.
When Nick's in net, it's almost like you have to put an extra guy back, you know, to cover the angles that Rosie isn't covering.
Right.
Whereas with Miller back there, these guys are more apt to be transitional guys, which pushes the offense a little bit more to the other end. And it also pushes the transition game of what I was talking about.
Right.
So if they really want to, you know, use that transition game, like I say, I would start with Miller.
I would too, just based on the numbers. And, yeah, like I said, he's only played 40 minutes to Rose's 80. But you're looking at a 12.2 to a 15 right now. It's almost a three goal differential. And the save percentage is a 76.5 to a 74.7. But, yeah, maybe right now is the time that you say, hey, you know what? Buffalo got Rosie's number, in the opener. Let's throw Brandon out there. Like you said, a different look. Let's see what happens. Let's just go with it right now and and just see. The perfect time to do it, and if Brandon hits a rough patch, or stumbles on a pothole or hits a pothole, then okay, Rosie, boom, put him in.
Yep.
And you go from there. But yeah, I would do the same thing. I would start Brandon and see what can happen from there. And like you said,
but I'm going with Toronto this week. So.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, I am just simply because I don't want to see Buffalo win anyway.
That being said too, but I just think that talent-wise, I think the cream rises to the top in this game.
Yeah, and like you said, for Buffalo, you're looking at Crawford and Dane Smith, and then after that you got the rookies. You got Byrne in there, like you said, and he's still as we like to say, wet behind the ears, or still a little green. He's not fully ripe yet in there, and Mark Steenhouse, he's lost a few steps as he's gotten up there in age, so it's not all there like it was 5-6 years ago, we'll say, for Mark. But that's a game that we'll have to see what happens, but it's obvious we're both going to go with Toronto in that game. This game, the final game of the week, really has the possibility of being a blowout. It's Rochester at Georgia. Georgia's first home game of the year, the raising of the banner. But as of right now, the Georgia Swarm are 0-2, 22 goals for, 27 against. Last week thought they could have pulled out against Colorado, but they didn't. They lost that game 14-11, and in the opener, they lost 13-8. So they're somewhat in these games, but right now they're 0-2, and their next two games are huge. They got Rochester this weekend, and then coming up after that, they got Saskatchewan.
Now, who would have thought that a team that was as scary as Georgia was last year would be as meek as Georgia is this year? Now, of course, Chad Tutton, he's out for the year. Jordan Hall retiring. Mason Jones, Ethan O'Connor, Joel White all not playing. Yeah, that's huge. But I look at the roster, and, take away the Thompsons, of course. And really, what do we have? You got Johnny Pallas. You got Randy Stotts.
Right.
Both have been underperforming. You got Kyle Matisse, who maybe shouldn't be transition, maybe should be offense, like we've been talking about.
You got Shane Jackson.
You got Shane Jackson, who's had a decent start to the year, but so far him and Lyle Thompson, and that's it.
Right.
You had Zed Williams, who they drafted high and expected big things, and I'm sure down the road he's going to get his feet, but right now, that's not happening. Jordan McIntosh has been pretty average on faceoffs. Jesse King's back, but he's still got to get his acclimating, that was a big injury too. So, maybe it's not a fluke that this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, 0-2, and like you said, certain players not in there. Joel White's a big one. Especially, they could really use him with his speed on transition.
Now, you knew that they relied heavily on the Thompsons before. Do you think they're relying a little bit too much on them, and teams are blocking them out? Now, you'll let Lyle have his points, but if you can cut down the other one or two, and take away all the passing things, maybe that's the answer.
Yeah, and it looks like that's exactly what they're doing right now. They're taking away.
Yeah, they're letting him have his 7 points. They're letting Lyle have the 2 goals and the 5 assists, but they're not letting a whole lot of other things go on.
No.
Either game. So, I think they haven't even faced the best defense that they are about to face, and that's this week.
Yeah.
I think Rochester has a much better defense than the two games that they've played so far. And if they were having trouble before, this could be a real ugly game.
Yeah, it's got the possibilities of being that type of an ugly game. And you know what? Every time we say stuff like this, Gary, it ends up being,
the opposite happens.
it'll be a nail biter.
Picking Rochester, you put the house on Georgia, and they're going to win by 17.
Yeah, it'll be a nail biter. But when you look at the odds, if you go to NLL.com, you go to their website, you go under the stats tag, and the very last one it says odds. The odds on that game, Rochester is a minus 143, Georgia is a plus 102, which tells you that Rochester is a heavy favorite in this game.
Sure, I also want you to consider another thing, because as the Thompson brothers are coming down the field, do you think Billy D, Paul Dawson, and Graham Hossack are going to be licking their chops?
Just a little bit.
Yep, come just a little further.
Yeah.
Just a wee bit further.
Just a little bit more.
That's right. Bam.
Yeah.
And how many, or Sid Smith for that matter, who's not afraid to mix it up.
No.
So, anything. And if they happen to get by, now you got Matt Vince. Mm-hmm. But like I said earlier tonight, he's looking like he's 25 again.
Yeah.
And then we go offensively, and you've got Joe Russataris, who's having a hell of a year. Corey Vittorelli, who's having a hell of a year. Scott Campbell having a hell of a year. Kyle Jackson having a great start. Eric Fennell, who's fitting in nicely. But let's not forget the big dog, good old Triple D.
Yep.
Who's in the best shape of his career.
Third in the league.
And also playing like he's in his 20s.
Third in the league with 6 goals and 9 assists in 2 games. And that's just...
Still the quarterback.
Right.
And still the leader, and not afraid to mix it up either.
Right. And the one name we didn't mention, who I'm waiting for him just to blast out, is Cody Jamieson. Okay, he only has 1 goal, but he has 9 big assists on the year so far.
Yep, and he's very happy to set things up and move things around and be your point guard, so to speak.
Yep, and as long as they win the game,
firing on all cylinders. Mike Poulin is going to be a very busy boy.
And then if it's not Poulin, who?
Well, then we go into the committee.
Yeah.
It's even crazier because you have 3 goalies on the active roster.
Rock, paper, scissors.
It's pretty much that, yeah.
That's
kind of strange.
Yeah, I mean it's.
You're gonna have, by the looks of things, you have Warren Hill, who's been suiting up, who is playing nothing. Worst comes to worst, they're going to put Kevin Orleman in, who also has played nothing.
Right. Now, real quick before we end the show, now obviously, I guess it's safe to say we're both going with New England over Vancouver, Colorado over Calgary, Toronto over Buffalo, and Rochester over Georgia.
Yeah, it's pretty much a spas for us.
Yep. Okay. So once again, we go on the same route. One quick thing, I noticed this: the power rankings that they have out. Andy McNamara has, in this order, the Rush first, Nighthawks at 2, Mammoth 3, Roughnecks. Well, you know what? Let's do it. It's between Andy McNamara, and Shanny. Okay, they both have the Rush as number 1. 2 and 3 they have it swapped. Andy has the Nighthawks, then the Mammoth, and Shanny's got the Mammoth and the Nighthawks. They both have Calgary as 4. 5 and 6 is flip-flopped. Andy has Buffalo, then the Black Wolves, and Shanny has Black Wolves and Bandits. They both agree that the Swarm are 7. And then 8 and 9 they have it, the Rock and the Stealth. That's what McNamara has, and Shanny has the Stealth and the Rock. I tend to go more on McNamara's side, except for I think I would have the Black Wolves over the Bandits. That would be the only difference
they
there.
each took a shellacking, so yeah. It's funny though because the Bandits, the Black Wolves, the Rock, all took big shellackings.
Yeah.
So yeah, for them being a bottom 5, that's perfect.
Yeah, and the
top 4 really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and the Swarm at 0-2 are down to number 7, so no doubt.
I'll be a little bit more curious after week 4 runs.
Yeah, see what happens.
Our rankings go, because I know that these blowouts have really affected these rankings, and both of those, Rochester and Saskatchewan being on their games, it's one thing for them to be up in the top 2 or 3, but it's affected teams that are now 7, 8, and 9. So, we'll see. We'll see. I'm a little more curious after 2 weeks. It's tough to, or after 3 weeks. It's tough to take a look at power rankings.
Power ranking, yeah. Well, of course they have to put them out each week just to
Of course.
To put
of course. It's just one game decides things too much.
Too much, yeah.
Early on in the season.
Yeah, but like we said, this week, couple big games. You got Georgia sitting at 0-2, Toronto at 0-2. Something's got to give with both of those franchises. I don't think it's going to give this week with Georgia. With Toronto, I think it's going to give. We both said we see Toronto coming out and beating Buffalo in this game. For Georgia, I don't know. I think they're going to be going 0-3 and almost being pushed off the cliff next week or the week after that when they play Saskatchewan. So it's going to be kind of tough. Well, Gary, that's going to do it for this week. Jokingly, we say this is the last show of the year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, for 2017. A couple more days, we start 2018. I say this week in and week out, please do not drink and drive. There's so much out there for everybody. If you want to drink, hey, that's fine. Get a designated driver. Give your keys to somebody. I know here in the States we have Lyft and we have Uber that you can call and somebody will drive you home. I don't know if you have that up in Canada or not, Gary. For people call, even if you're at a bar. I know
we do.
Okay, so
we can even go with #taxi, and it'll put you through to the whichever taxi company is free.
There you go, and I'm pretty sure even the bartenders would go ahead and say, "Hey, let me call you a cab." Yeah, I'll call you a cab. The bartender will hold on to your keys or what have you, your car keys or something, and put you into a cab and get you home, safe and sound. Because not only are you hurting yourself or possibility of killing yourself, God forbid, but you could be causing harm to other people and other families. So when the ball drops, clock strikes midnight, celebrate responsibly, okay? We want everybody to be around. We want you to be around to listen to the show again and go out and support your team, your lacrosse team, or even if it's baseball or football or whatever. Just please don't drink and drive. That's all we want to say. Other than that, Gary, have a great new year. I'm sure I'll talk to you prior to 2018. It's coming up, and that means we're getting closer and closer to 2 more teams joining this league again, and we all know what that leads to. A whole lot of fun. So, for Gary Grube at laxphilly.com up in Toronto, Canada. Gary, stay out of the snow.
You gotta stay out of the deep freeze.
Deep freeze, right. I'm Rocco Grauder from InLacrosseWeTrust.com. No snow here, but a very bitter cold. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see everybody here again next week.
You